Welcome to the Wolverine TV. I'm Clayton Sayfie with Holland. We are from the Wolverine.com. Head over to the Wolverine.com. If you're not a premium subscriber right now, you can become one for free for 60 days. Put in the promo code BLUE60 and check us out. Get all of our premium insider updates. EJ with them each and every night in our package called Blue Chips with a ton of insider nuggets on Michigan football recruiting. This video, we're going to talk about 5 recruits that are currently committed to Michigan that Michigan has to continue to recruit, that maybe, they should possibly be worried about, them taking visits or flirting with other teams. So 5 guys, and we will start with probably the most obvious, the one that's had a little bit of buzz around him after the Michigan loss to Michigan State last week. Andrel Anthony, 3-star wide receiver from East Lansing High School, right in the backyard of Michigan State. There was a little buzz about Michigan State, even though we chose the Wolverines over the Spartans in the summer. But this week, you start hearing, that possibly Andrel Anthony might look around. So, EJ, I want to get your thoughts on Andrel Anthony and why Michigan needs to continue to even push for him, even though he's technically on that commitment list.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan State, after their big win over Michigan, is going to make their push for Andrew Anthony. He was their top overall target, an East Lansing kid whose mother went to Michigan State. It makes a lot of sense for them to push, sell their win, sell the future, and it makes a lot of sense for him to at least listen. Just because, like I said, he is an East Lansing kid. His mom went to Michigan State. There's a lot of familiarity with that program, with that coaching staff. So it's definitely something to monitor. On top of that, I made the future cast switch from Michigan to Michigan State with Rayshon Benny. I think that'll help them boost kind of their in-state recruiting momentum. And if they do land Rayshon Benny, I think that will help them in their courting of Andrew Anthony. So Michigan's going to need to continue to recruit him hard. The good news is he did make a visit out to Ann Arbor last weekend and met up with fellow wide receiver commits Xavier Worthy, Christian Dixon. I'm told they all really, really clicked, and that Andrew Anthony's still, a believer in Josh Gaddis and Michigan. But it'll be interesting. I mean, this weekend's game against Indiana is going to be big. Like I said in the previous video this week, I think they can just even out and be fine on the recruiting trail if they beat Indiana and have a good season. But Michigan State is not going to go away anytime soon in the recruitment of Andrew Anthony.
EJ, I've said this probably a million times already this week, but what a difference a week can make. So Jadon Hood is our next guy, linebacker from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. So this is a kid who, has Minnesota recruiting him hard. He has also hometown Miami recruiting him hard. He's a Michigan commit, obviously. Michigan goes out and beats Minnesota in week 1. And that was a big thing for Jadon Hood to see. It's like it kind of steps on the throat a little bit of PJ Fleck. I know he's probably still recruiting Jadon Hood, but, basically Michigan getting that win is like, all right, I want to play for these guys over Minnesota. But then at the same time, if, that win had an impact on his recruitment, it means he's still maybe wavering a little bit or thinking a little bit. So you show that you drop a game that you shouldn't drop early in the season. I guess what does that do for Jadon Hood?
Yeah, so the Minnesota win was big for him just because he was still considering Minnesota. And Jadon Hood's a guy that we've been a little concerned about even before this weekend's loss to Michigan State because he hasn't been to Michigan. He's all the way down in Florida. And more so than Minnesota, I've always been concerned about Miami. He's been to Miami. Fort Lauderdale to Miami is a very, very short drive. I think that, with the ongoing global pandemic, staying closer to home is something a lot of recruits are taking into consideration. So while Hood is not afraid to leave home and he's a high academic kid and he's a good fit at Michigan, hence why he committed in the first place, I think Miami's giving him a lot to think about and has been. And this gives the Hurricanes even more ammunition to use in the Jadon Hood recruitment. And Jadon Hood's even been open that he's wanted to make visits. So There isn't a for sure answer on whether he's going to enroll early or even sign early. So it'll be interesting to see what transpires there. And the Hood situation is one where it's going to be like this either way. Even if Michigan gets some wins on the field and gets a streak going, Hood's still going to be a guy that's open-minded because he's been open-minded since before the season started. And Miami's also recruiting Brendan Jennings, who just committed. Jennings isn't on this list, but he could be. We kind of left him off just because he just committed a couple of weeks ago. But Miami's still actively recruiting him as well. The Hurricanes still want another linebacker in their class, and they want to keep those Florida guys home. The difference between Jennings and Hood is that Jennings has actually been to Michigan, so I think that helps the Wolverines' cause. But I would definitely monitor both.
The good news on Hood would be that, it wasn't really the Michigan State loss. Like, he's not a guy that Michigan State's coming after, so it's not like some team has some head-to-head ammo over Michigan. But obviously, it can open up a lot of things if you lose a game you're not supposed to. Number 3 on the list, Rod Moore, the safety out of Ohio. We put him on the list more so because Bob Shoop, it was announced this week, Michigan safeties coach is not currently with the team on the field. He is performing team-related activities remotely. Michigan didn't add a lot of detail in their statement this week, so basically he's not in the building. He's doing some work from home, and that raises questions, obviously, about his future with the program. Rod Moore being a guy that would be, in his position room, when he gets to campus, that can open up some questions as well. So Rod Moore, concern level, I guess, with him based on the recent Bob Shoop news.
Yeah, so this one also, like you said, is one that doesn't really even have to do with the Michigan State loss. It has to do with the Bob Shoop drama now. And Rod's never been a guy that has wavered at all. He's been completely 100% solid to Michigan. He made his own self-guided tour. He plans to be on campus on November 14th. So going into this weekend, I was not worried about Rod Moore at all. Coming out of the Michigan State loss, I was not worried about Rod Moore at all. He's one of the most solid commits in this class. But anytime you have a shakeup with a position coach, that obviously raises questions. On top of the fact that Rod isn't looking to enroll early, which means he doesn't have to sign early. And if something happens with Shoop, which it looks like it's a possibility. I mean, like you said, it's very vague what exactly is going on. I think we have a better idea behind the scenes, thanks to our Chris Ballas. But I feel like if there are even the slightest question marks about Shoop being there, I mean, you don't want to go to a school that doesn't have a position coach. So I'm not saying that Michigan's in serious jeopardy of losing Rod Moore. I think it really depends on what happens with Shoop, just because, like I said, I mean, your position coach is your main point of contact. That's the guy you're going to be playing with. And so now there is something, a little off there. And I think Rod and his family will at least look at it.
One thing to kind of ease the nerves of Michigan fans with Rod Moore is we do have to remember that, his buddy and teammate in high school, Marcus Allen, was committed to Michigan, decommitted, and then, Rod Moore didn't waiver. So that's just one thing I'll throw out there to kind of ease the nerves a little bit with Rod Moore. He seems to be, solid. He's already wavered through some, I'm not going to say tough times, but like, a teammate of his decommitting and looking elsewhere from Michigan. So I'll just throw that out there. The 4th guy on this list, and as we go down, I think, the likelihood of one of them leaving the class seems to be, at least in my opinion, lesser and lesser. So Xavier Worthy, Rivals 100 wide receiver in 2021. California, he was just on campus, as you mentioned, over the weekend to see the embarrassing loss, not in person, but just see the camp around. Xavier Worthy, kid from California, planning on coming back here in another week and a half to Ann Arbor. But, a kid like that is so highly recruited. He continues to tweet out when he gets an offer. But, he continues to stay committed to Michigan. But I guess, again, this loss can kind of open some things up. Xavier Worthy, what are your thoughts on his status?
I think this is one where the pandemic helps Michigan because Worthy can't go and visit other schools. So because of that, it is late in the cycle. I mean, it's already late to begin with, but the pandemic makes it even later, kind of in a warped view. Because Worthy can't go and visit other schools, because he's an early enrollee, because he's paying his own way to see Ann Arbor twice, I think he'll stick with Michigan. I talked to both Xavier and his mother earlier this week following their visit, and both reiterated that they're fully on board with Michigan. They believe in Jim Harbaugh. They believe in Josh Gaddis. The loss doesn't affect them at all. Being from California, Xavier doesn't really get or care about the Michigan State rivalry, and he actually said as much in the interview. So, even though he legitimate offers. I mean, Alabama wanted him, Georgia wanted him, Texas A&M just offered. I think he'll stick with Michigan. I do know that fans are going to be concerned about him all the way up until he signs, just because he is continuously being recruited by these other schools, and that's fine. When you have a highly touted guy like that from way far away, it's okay to have some concerns, but I'm not very worried about Xavier Worthy right now.
It's funny, Michigan and probably every other school in the country, when they look at their commits, they look at the calendar and say, all right, how many days until signing day? Because it's such a unique season, or not just season, but it's such a unique year around the world. Recruiting, you can't get on campus. You just want your guys to sign basically and lock them up, and then lock up that class and start moving on to the next one when you can have visits. But so those are the 2021 guys. We do have one guy on the list here that's a 22 kid. The brother of Ben Van Sumeren, Alex Van Sumeren, not quite a mammoth, but a big defensive tackle out of Essexville, up in the Bay City area. So, we put him on the list, and we talked about before the show basically why he's on the list. And, this is a kid who knows Michigan really well, loves Michigan, has the brother on the team, is able to go to these games, immediate family member, but at the same time has always been willing to, take more visits as he's kind of blown up as a recruit with offers such as Alabama and teams like that. So, why explain why he's on this list? I guess EJ, I could have had better terms there, but just explain why he's on the list. Yes, and all the love he has for Michigan.
Yeah, so a lot of people are like, okay, well, Van Sumeren's going to stay the course with Michigan no matter what. And look, I'm not really worried about Alex. I've gone out to Bay City, I've seen Alex, but Alex and his father have always told me we're going to make other visits. This was before the Michigan State loss. They've always had interest in other programs. So I know the family was extremely excited to get a Stanford offer. Alex really likes Alabama and Penn State. He wants to see those schools. He talks to those coaching staff. So, yeah, there's open communication with other schools. And Alex isn't hiding that. He's said that in interviews and everything. And so I think people brush it off, but it's something to watch, especially like we've mentioned before, with the Jim Harbaugh contract extension situation. I mean, if Harbaugh doesn't have an extension in place by this time next year, I mean, you're a couple months away from signing day with a coach that doesn't have an extension, or even if he doesn't have an extension in February or March in the springtime, that gives schools again ammunition to use. And Alex does love Michigan. Obviously, his brother's on the team. He knows the staff extremely well, but Michigan has struggled to recruit defensive tackles. Out of all the recruiters on the staff, I would say I have the least faith in Chandua as it stands right now. So it's not something to just brush away. Like he's gonna look at these other schools, and I've covered recruiting for a long time, and I've seen little brothers not follow their big brothers and go elsewhere. I covered a pair of brothers in the same grade, and one went to Texas and one went to Texas. So it doesn't have to necessarily be he's a shoe-in because he has a brother on the team. That's not the case. He's going to take a look at these other schools, and like I said, the Stanford, Penn State, Alabama have always been high on his list, and Michigan State is going to recruit the hell out of him, and he's the one recruit that got to see the loss in person.
It's a good point. It's a good way to, look at it, I guess, from a pessimistic standpoint. I'll play the optimist thing as we close up. Most of these guys on this list, I would say 3.5 out of 5, because maybe half of Xavier Worthy here, just because there was already concern. They're not on this list because of the Michigan State loss, really directly. Maybe half of Van Sumeren's, addition on this list is because of that, and maybe same with Xavier Worthy, but Andrel Anthony certainly is. But it's like Jadon Hood's a guy that was already looking around. Rod Moritz, the position coach thing. Xavier Worthy is already a guy, people were worried about just a tad, just because of how far away he is. And then Alex Van Sumeren, for the reasons we just mentioned. So am I wrong to say that, the Michigan State loss maybe isn't the root cause of this, and the confidence level should still be like pretty high on most of these guys that Michigan will sign up?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say it's not the root cause, but I think it's kind of like someone trying to push a rock down the hill, trying to get the train moving, and that's what other schools are really trying to do, trying to cause a little bit of of some rocks falling down the mountain. So I think that most of these guys, you don't have a lot to worry right now, but it's just so hard to project the future. Recruiting always changes, and with the way things are going at Michigan, things are changing week to week. We wouldn't even be doing this video had Michigan not lost to Michigan State. Everything would be full steam ahead. Michigan would be completely fine with everybody. So it's constantly changing. But the reason we did this video is because people have been asking who's going to be wavering, who's going to be looking around, and it's a fair question. And so we needed to address it. But right now, I think Andrel Anthony would be my main concern. Hood has been a concern since before the loss. And then after that, it's just kind of possibilities. So right now, I don't think the Michigan State loss is going to directly make Michigan, start losing commits left and right. I think it depends on how things go moving forward.
No doubt. All right. So those are our 5 guys: Andrel Anthony, Jadon Hood, Rod Moore, Xavier Worthy, Alex Van Sumeren. For now, locked in with Michigan. But that is our video. Remember to check us out at thewolverine.com. Use the promo code BLUE60 for 60 days of our premium content for free. We'll catch you next time.